Okay, so what is the first thing? Any object. So file object. Okay, so what is the next thing? You have to do the open. This is the default function for doing any file related operation. Open. What I have to open? Any specific file. So let me keep it as dhoni.txt followed by the mode of operation. What kind of operation I'm going to do? Read, write, append, whatever it is. So for the first few things, I'm going to take you through the write operation. So put W within a quote. So that's it. So an object has been created for this file opening, as simple as that. Now what you have to do? I have to write onto the specific file. Correct. So what I have to do? File dot obj dot write. So this is the write function. So let me add some content. This is my first file operation. So I have this content. Okay. Now what is the next thing? Whether it is a DB or any file operation, when you open any file or when you open any DB, the ultimate mandatory thing that you people have to make sure that is you close the same. Okay, so you need to close the file object dot close. So this is what the basic operation. Okay, so when I write these 3 lines of code, there are few things that I want you people to keep in mind. First, you might be wondering, sir, you're trying to write onto a specific file called dhoni.txt. It doesn't mean that dhoni.txt is already available in my system. If yes, what will be the folder that I can have this file? First of all, when you don't specify any path, look at this. I just straight away mentioned like dhoni.txt. Correct. So when you don't specify any path, it will go and store in the current directory. Current directory in the sense the directory that you're running your current Python file. That is what your current directory. Fine. So these are two things. So it will be running on the current directory. The next thing, if I want to write, do I need to have the Donita text already in my system? Definitely not. There is not even a single necessity to keep this file already. So the beauty of file operation is that if I mention any specific file, usually what happens is that it will go and check the specific folder. If that file is already exist, it will write on top of the file. Point number one. Point number two, if there is no such file, such file, it will create a one. So what happened in this case? We don't have any such file. If you want, I can show you by opening this. Okay, so desktop. So I'm gonna do this in this folder. This is my folder. This is where I'm running my file. But as of now, there is no dhoni.txt. Okay, let me run. Output will be empty because you're not doing the operation. You're not doing any process to get the output at the screen, but you're doing some process. So let us open the same folder. Now you can see a folder has been created. I mean, a file has been created in the same name which I mentioned. When I open, you can see the content is clearly visible in this text file. So this is the basic write operation. Okay. When you do this kind of write operation, we should always make sure that we correct the basic things. We correct the basic always. That is very important. Without the basic, going towards the higher level of learning is absolutely no use. What was that? Now I have 3 lines of code, and there are 3 things which I'm trying to put manually. What was that? Text file. Now the text file, I mean file name, mode of operation, and also the content. So what happened? All these 3 are in a static. That means I'm already mentioning within my code. You should always avoid this, right? You should write the code in such a way that it will be very much a generic. Okay. So what you can do, you know it, right? How to get the data dynamically in Python using input function. Input of enter the content. That's it. So here, instead of you writing static data, you just pass this variable over here. That's it. Now let me go to the file and open the file. There you see. Now it is contained the latest of data. Okay. Now what I have did, I just altered my code in such a way that I don't give the data statically every time. So to the text file. Correct. Dhoni.txt is also something that I already given statically. So sometime I may use a new file. Okay. So this also I should avoid. So I should do this file name. Okay. So what I have to do? File name is equal to input of enter your file name. That's it. So when you run, it will ask you the file name. So let me keep it as dhoni.txt. Enter. Now it is asking content. That's it. So close every time opening newly because you don't keep the file as it is because it won't do dynamic changes. Close the file. Now I'm opening it again. There you see it contains latest of data. I'll come back to that. Okay. As of now, what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to keep my basic code so dynamic. What is the next thing you should do? File operation mode. So file operation mode. Same thing. Input of enter your file operation mode. See, this is how you should elaborate your code. So now what you have to do, instead of you putting it W, you have to use this one. Now look at this from, let me add a line number. I'm sorry, from line number 5 to line number 11, it is completely a data. It is completely a dynamic data. Nothing is added statically. Okay, so when I run, now look at this. It will asking me to select a file name. I can enter dhoni.txt. Next, it will ask me the mode of operation, W. Now look at this. What happened? By mistake, I given this double quote over there. Correct. So this is the problem. So these are the few things that I always want you people to make sure. You might have felt that everything goes are perfect, but what happened? When when I add a double quote here, there is already a double quote over there, so it got mixed up. So what you're supposed to do, the file name should be, you should retrieve the file name in the form of blank. You should always retrieve the file blank. Okay, you should not retrieve the file with the double quotes. So first of all, what you have to do, you have to check if file name dot ends with double quote or file name dot starts with double quote. So you're writing, you're just making sure that when somebody by mistake enters a double quote onto the file, what you have to do it here. So you have to write in such a way that file name is equal to same variable I'm using. You can use this way also. Not necessarily that you have to create a new variable because it is coming hierarchically only. So file name dot strip of double quote. So what I'm telling, If people enters the file name with a double quote, either on the left side, that means either ends with or starts with. That's what the content here. I'm just asking it to strip that. So let us run. Look at this. Now it works without error because such a way that I have made my code. This is what very important, guys. Learning a code on the syllabus front is okay, right? But when you want to survive in IT industry, whenever you want to survive yourself into a larger project front, right? These are the few nuances that I want you people to understand. Okay, content. So something Sindhu. That's it. Close the file, open it. There you see. Output says Sindhu. Make sure that you always close the file. Now it works fine. Okay. Now what happened? Look at this. There is something peculiarly created. Don't wonder too much. Why? Because when I am about to get the file name, it's supposed to have a .txt. But on a rush, I didn't give the txt. So this also you should make a note of it. So look at this, the way I gonna modify that. Again, there is one more condition. Elif file name or what is necessary, you need to check whether the file name is ending with .txt. What is the necessary here? If the file is ending with a .txt, you can keep the file name as it is. If the file name is not ending with the .txt, then what is the thing that you have to do? You need to make sure that you strip that. Okay. So now, okay. So what you do is that you need to check the same thing. If file name dot ends with, if file names end with .txt, again I'm gonna do what? Strip that. What strip? R strip. R strip means only strip the right side. After stripping, finally what you have to do? File name is equal to file name plus .txt. So it's a generic statement. So you can do whatever you wish. If statement is something that I have written as per my wish, you can write in different way. I just given elif statement. There you can give some other statement. So now what happened? Either if I give or not, it is going to consider that as a text file only. If I want to run, look at this. Dhoni W hello. So there is a Dhoni file and hello is the content. Okay. Now when I run again, if I Dhoni.txt, if I give, that time also it will properly work. But here what happened? Look at this. Now it created another file. It created another file with the name of Dhoni.txt itself. Why? Because I have given a txt here. So what is the problem here? It is considering everything as a txt. Okay. So now look at this. Look at this. This is what the problem. So initially what happened? Elif file name underscore ends with .txt. What we are trying to achieve here? I'm trying to check whether the file name ends with the .txt content. If it ends with the .txt content, what I'm doing, file name is equal to, this is what I showed out there. File name is equal to file.strip. So what happened? Now it will be stripped. So let me run again. Dhoni.txt w India. So it would have been in India here. Okay, so this is what very important. It might seem these are minute changes, but it plays a huge role. So now everything looks perfect. Okay, so this is just, I want to reiterate the terms. Okay, so if you remember when I see the string operation, okay, so in the previous videos, I just given you those function, kind of a template. So now I'm trying to, use those functions so that you people will, come to know the orientation of those functions. Okay, each and every function that we seen in the previous videos, of course, will have an, application in your project. So some people will say that ends with start with is something that we don't normally use, right? So just to reiterate the term, it might use in this kind of a scenario. Okay, so of course I would have truncated this code in a shorter way, but these are the things that I want you people to practice it, how to get the data, how to do that all. You just keep in mind, but just for the rest of the explanation I'm going to take it very simple. You can use this, but rest of the explanation I'm going to do it straight away. Okay. Okay, fine. So let me keep it as the same file only. Something onto the same file. I'm running, and when I open, it is having the latest data. So now what happened? The point to be noted here is that whenever I do the write operation, it is overriding the data. The previous content is getting overridden by the new content. It's very easy. Everybody will tell the answer. Yes, of course, you do the right operation, the data will be overridden. But as a technical person, you should be in a position to tell them why the data is getting overridden. Okay, look at this. I'm trying to run a new data like Pakistan, and I ran this. Output is empty. What I have to do? I have to go and see this content. Now it is Pakistan. Now I'm writing something. I did some content. Look at the cursor. Where my cursor is blinking, or my pointer is blinking at the last. That means at the letter A. Now I'm closing it. I'm opening it. Now where the cursor is blinking, it went back to the 0th index, first position. So because of this cursor existence only, every time I do the write operation, it is trying to write onto the place. Of course, how the data will write, guys, in a text file, it will write on the same place where the cursor is blinking, right? So because of this cursor and pointer perspective only, the data is actually getting overridden whenever you do the write operation. Okay, that is one point. That's fine. I hope you would have got it. This is the reason why every time you do the right operation, the data is getting overridden. So what if I don't want the data to be overridden, but I want the data to be added along with the previous data? In that case, instead of a W operator, you can use A. A indicates append. Append means concatenate, merge it. Instead of you overwrite, you merge it. Okay. So let me write a new content. Something like this, Australia. I ran. When I open this file, they are using Pakistan is neighborhood, and then the next data is also getting appended, Australia. And so point is that whenever you do the write operation, the data will be always merged. Okay, so it will not be overwrite, because W is such case where it, whenever you do the write, it will do the overwrite. But here in A, when you put A as a mode of operation, it won't do the override. Instead, it will merge the data. So if you want, you can add a new data also. Something. I ran. Let me go to the file and I open the file. There you see the data is getting appended at the last. Okay, that's the beauty of append. Append means it won't override. Now what happen? Append every time appends on a existing line only. If you want to that to happen in the new line, what you have to do? You can add this statement slash n. Now let me write it some other data. Okay, something called south. There you see. Hereafter, the data will get appended one after the other. This is what the append operation. As of now, as per the agenda, what we see, two operations we see. File operation called write and file operation called append. What is the write does? Write, of course, writes the content onto the file, whatever I give. The problem with write is that every time you give the new content, the previous content will be overridden. That is the biggest headache that you have with the write operation. And just to make sure that the write doesn't overwrite the previous content, I am using A instead of W as a mode of operation. A means append. Append means what it is going to do? It is going to keep appending data, the new data with the existing data. Okay. And the point here to be noted is that both write as well as append works on the principle of pointers only. Okay. So when somebody asks you the question that, why every time the write overrides the previous content, tell them it's because of the existence of pointer or cursor. Since the cursor is always going back to the first index, as soon as I close, the next time I do the write operation, it is actually overriding because it's trying to start writing the content from the same line where the cursor is blinking. That's the point to be noted. When you do the A operation, what happens is that it will previously read the file and it will keep the cursor into the last available letter of the given file. That's the beauty of append. Okay. Now, what are the things that we seen till now? Write as well as append. What is the next operation? Read operation. So, what is the first change that I have to do? Change that mode of operation R and file content is equal to use the object file object dot read file content. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read from the file. Now you can export the output in your Python shell. So when I run, you can see whatever is there in my specific file, it's getting displayed over in my Python file. That means what? Everything here. Whatever it is here, it is getting displayed over in my code. Okay, so let me do some changes for the better thing. Something like this. Okay, I am saving and closing. Now I'm trying to run the same code. So everything it prints. So the point to be noted here is that when you do the read operation, the data will be read or data will be read in the form of string. If you have a doubt, you can do what? As usual, type check that. You can do the type check. So when you do the type check, it will return what was the output. It said string. Okay. Now, what this read usually do is that reads the complete content of your file from index 0 to last index. Okay. Now, I just given 4. What does it mean? It means only read me the first 4 character of my given file. There you see DHON. It is reading only the 4 characters. That is what point. That is the point that you need to understand. Okay. Now on to the same indent. I'm trying to use file content 2. So that variable is file content 2. And here I'm trying to have a normal read. So what will be the output, guys? Usually I see people do the mistake here. What they will think, at line number 46 it is going to read only 4 letter, whereas in line number 40 it is going to read the complete data. It is partially correct. Why? Because pointer or cursor availability. Because when what is the first statement that I given on line number 46? Read the given file till for data. It will read. So what happens if it reads? Cursor will be still blinking after the fourth line. Correct? Cursor will be blinking. So when you start giving the read again, it will start read from the place where the cursor is blinking. So obviously it will read the rest of the character. Whatever is already read will be read only. It will not get repeated because cursor. Every time cursor stays. So when you run, there you see. First only 4 character, and when I do the next read, it will read rest of the character. Okay, this is how read works. So you should be very careful. Next is read line. The basic thing with read line is that it reads line by line. What is read does? It reads the complete string unless until I specify a certain length to print or length to read. But here read line means only the first line. Read means complete data of your file, but read line means only the first line of your string. I mean your file. There you see Dhoni is, because Dhoni is my first line of the given file. Okay. So what happens when you want to read the other line? Then you have to use another read line, one after the other. So file content to file content to. So when you run, there you see 2 data got read. The important point that you need yourself get injected is that first line needs to be completely read so that the next read line will read the next one. But look at this. Look at this. So what I given? Read line of 2. I'm asking my file to read only 2 characters of my first line. So the first print will be DH only. Now the bigger question is that now I have a read line. Whether it will continue on the same line or it will go to the new line. Definitely it will continue on the same line only, because the first line itself not yet completed. So what is the point of having the read line? The read line will read each and every line if the first line or the line which is reading is completely read. But here at line number 58, what I did, I'm asking my Python to read only the first 2 characters. If that was the case, my first line is still pending. The reading of my first line is still pending. So of course it won't read all the content. Look at this. DH space overnight space IS space. That's it. The data is off read. That's the point that I want you people to have a note here. And again, this also gives or produces the result in the form of string only. Okay, and there is one last function called read lines. Read lines. So when you run, look at this. The first difference that you get with the read lines is that the output is in the form of list. That is the first thing. The next thing is that each and every line of your file has been accommodated as a separate content of your list. Each and every line. Dhoni is, Kohli was, Rohit will be, India always. Okay, that's how it works. And you can see /n at the end of each and every word, because it is actually moving towards the next line in your text file, right? So whenever it reaches the next line, it is taking this /n as well. That's a read line. So read and read lines return the data in the form of string. Read lines actually returns the data in the form of list. Read is going to read the complete data of your file unless until I specify a special number. Read line also same thing, but read line means it takes the command line by line. for whatever it is, right? To get the process to a complete stage, you need to complete a line so that it will go to next line. That you can see at line number 58. And line number 58, I'm trying to read a line, but not the entire line, only two characters. So that means what? The rest of the character is not yet read. So when you use the next line, next read line, it will continue from the same file and will stop on the first read line only. Okay. So these are the things that I want you people to keep in mind. Okay, whenever you do the read based operation.